They had something where they were on your ass recently. You would
on TikTok.
Yeah, was it like a Latin joke or something? So, I think people took out of context and they don't realize you're married to a Latin woman.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So that happened. You know, the Mexican community was coming after me,
right.
And I understood the wording of that joke because basically what I was trying to say it was a whole made-up scenario. So what I was trying to say is that Titi Jerry, who, if you don't know, she's on my podcast. She's a transgender Latina woman, did 20 years in prison. You know, Puerto Rican, like she's like. You know, it's my wife's uncle, and she's actually my kid's godmother now, and you know, whatever. She's my family, and so we, you know, say wild shit on the pod together. But we were saying that there was a guy was fixing family friend was fixing an air conditioner unit in my attic, and his foot went through the ceiling. Right. Yeah. So I was like, and he was like, oh shit. He goes, I'm sorry. I was like, yeah, whatever, just patch it up. And then he goes, he was like, he's Spanish, but he was like, oh, I don't have my papers. And then like, so we were just like joking around like that and all laughing. So then I went on the podcast the next day, and that's what it is. Like you take scenarios like that and you make bits about it. That's even on a podcast. People are like, hey, what you said about X, Y, and Z. That, you know, sometimes my family call me like, that's not true. It's
right.
like, this isn't therapy.
Right,
I'm doing a show.
Yeah. So we're entertaining people.
So what happened was I said on the podcast, I said, oh, you know, like a Mexican worker fell through my ceiling yesterday. And I was like, he said that his neck hurt. And then Titi Jerry went up there and was like, I said that he fell through this. What I meant to say was he fell through the ceiling. And then 20 minutes later, all of a sudden he said his neck hurt. And then Titi Jerry went up the stairs like, oh, your neck hurt? Where's your papers? And then he was like, I don't have papers. And he was like, trabajo, like that. And so, but the way the TikTok came out was I didn't say the 20-minute part and I just did a word right. So it sounded like, especially if you don't know me, it sounded like this white guy is here talking about the Latino community and it got to the point where like people are like, somebody goes, we found the worker. We're gonna leave.
We found him.
No, some lady, some like famous Mexican American attorney, or I guess famous on TikTok, was like, we messaged me. They're like, we found the worker. We are going to represent him for free. Her ass is grass. I was like, the worker is literally a dummy from Staten Island who's a family friend. Like, what? There's no worker.
You didn't find him.
There's no worker. So I texted. His name is Anthony. I was like, did anybody reach out to? He was like, I don't even have his cell phone. Like, you know, like, so like, it's just like stupid, and then these people attack. So, but then it's interesting because it's just a microcosm. Like social media, it's just a microcosm. People, because you think they're like, oh, people were like sending me like death threats, right? And then I did shows. Coincidentally, I think 3 weeks later in the not the Irvine it was the Irvine Improv, which is a huge Mexican community in that area, bro. The producer. The manager of the club, you know, is beautiful, sold out shows. Thank you to the people of Irvine.
Of course.
You know, it's like all the shows put together, it's like 3,000 tickets. It's like a big ass venue.
That's
like
huge,
I did six shows, 500 people each show. He told me, he was like, other than Felipe Esparza, who's a huge Mexican American comedian in LA, he goes, you have the most Mexican fans I've ever seen in this venue. And all of them love. None of them even saw that TikTok, or barely any of them did. And the ones that did were like, yo, it's fucking hilarious.
Well, that's the thing about the internet is like you can't take it too serious because it's always the really loud minority, and like you always think in your head everybody saw this when really not that many people in your real life or fans really actually give a fuck. Or
because you have to also understand the mindset of someone on social media for you to even. Both ways. And listen, it's all good. I will appreciate it, like whatever. But for you to comment negatively on someone's Instagram or TikTok publicly or positively, it's a little bit like most people don't give a fuck at all.
Right.
Most people are like, yeah, I just move on with my shit. Like I would comment on something because we know each other, whatever, but for random people to comment or send you DMs, positive or negative, is a little like, it's just strange. And most people don't care. Most people didn't even see that TikTok, or they didn't give a shit and they bought a ticket because they like me from other things, or they didn't buy a ticket because they don't like me from other things. So the people that get so wrapped up, so actually a step that I've taken is, and I understand, you know, not everyone can do this. I get it, to be in a fortunate position, but I have now given the keys to all my social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everything, to someone else, to a guy who works for my management company. I know him very well. He has the passwords to everything. I purposely told him, do not give, I don't want to know, I don't want to have access into my own social media. If somebody like you reached out and he was like, yo, and then he'll send it to me. I'll be like, give him my number, tell him to text me. We'll do things like that. But I'm like, I don't want to know, because it is a thing. A lot of people talk about negative comments and how it messes with your brain chemistry. 100% accurate. So do positive ones. Positive ones take you out into this egotistical state where you aren't who you really are. So I said, you know what? I don't need it anymore. It's built up to me where it's comfortable. Like, however many, hundreds, thousands are on there. It's comfortable enough for me. It's a ticket selling apparatus for me. I tell my guy what to post every day, give him the video, tell him the caption, so it is my writing and my work.
Of course.
But I don't know who's saying what.
Who's DMing, who's commenting.
Even after shows, there would be a thing where I'd be paralyzed. After shows, you have a good show.
Go check the
30, 50, 100 DMs. Girls, guys, I want to hang out. I want to take you to the bar. And I'd be, oh my God, you almost have, sometimes too many options. Too much choice is not freedom. You're in prison with too many choices. That's a thing where it's like, I felt like the less people that have access to me, the freer I am. So I was like, now the only people that have access to me is if you have my number or my email, if you're a personal friend or family member, then we can talk. Other than that, there's a layer, there's someone, a buffer in front of it. And bro, it's made everything in my life so much better, from relationship with my girl, relationship with my kids, my body. I've lost like 25 pounds fasting, working out, because I'm not sucked into
You're not
the toxicity.
stuck on the phone.
I'm not sucked into the toxicity of it. Even, yes, women, all that stuff, because sex is an addiction like anything else. That gets you in trouble, of course. Comparison, one of my favorite quotes, I just did a video about it, from Teddy Roosevelt, who says, what? Oh, my fault. This guy's crying. One of my favorite quotes from Teddy Roosevelt is comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, so I don't compare myself to my peers. I don't know what my peers are doing. I'm happy for whatever they're doing. I compare me to me. Even on social media, sometimes you compare you to you, and that's not good either. You'll look at a picture or video of yourself from 10 months ago and be like, why don't I look like that anymore? Or I was more popping back then. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So I just stay. For me, I've made a decision. I only care. I also don't want someone on the other side of the world to influence my day. They don't know me. I don't know them. So I made another choice where I was like, I'm only going to deal with the opinions of the people in the room with me or my friends and family. Those people I would care about if I'm in a physical presence or a friend. But some other person writing something on YouTube or Instagram, I don't give it my headspace anymore. And some people are strong enough to say, well, I just won't look. I wasn't. I had to just look myself in the mirror and say, you're too much of a pussy, Chris.
Right.
You need to get rid of it. So I didn't delete it because again, it's a ticket selling apparatus.
No, yeah, it's part of your.
But I don't have any access to it. So like if you DM me, people in my life who, communicating with, who do have my number, like, yo, are you mad at me? You don't respond to my DMs anymore. I'm like, bro, you got to text me. I don't have any information. I don't even have a way into that anymore. And, I know that, that not everybody has to do that. But for me, I've only seen positive change since I've gotten less on social media and more just focusing on the people in front of me.